Boyfriend lied about my dog's disappearance, tried to gaslight me into believing it's for my own good, and ruined his own birthday. My dog is a little shit. I F35 love the booger, but my goodness. Last week, she got out of the backyard while I was busy cooking my BF's dinner for his birthday. My boyfriend Mike M40, let the dog out during this time and didn't stay out with the digging asshole. When I went to call her back in, she was nowhere to be found. I live in an active city on an active road and I naturally was worried about her, but my BF she said should fine, as we are well known in the neighborhood for our clockwork walks and someone will see her and bring her back. I went out to look for her anyway but couldn't find her. I didn't find her for 48 hours and I was crying from the stress. She's been my dog for 7 years and I know it sounds odd to some, but she's my girl, my bestie, and love the shit out of her. I would sob worrying she was injured or worse on the side of the road. BF said he tried to track the microchip but it for some reason wouldn't work and her leash had a tag on it with her location, but BF didn't put it on her because, as he explained, she was just going outside. I have a new neighbor, a F30-something Josie, and turned out she had my dog. She found her tagless wandering her yard 3 doors down from me and didn't know her or me at all, so took her to the local vet who recognized my girl, and called me. So my little shit was returned to me. I was overjoyed and was thanking Josie profusely, explaining how worried I was, and my BF audibly sighed from behind me and said, "Well, thank fuck that's over. She ruined my birthday with that stunt." When Josie saw him she looked confused but didn't say anything until I walked her out. She told me, "You might not believe me, but he told me last night that you don't have pets." I was confused by this and kind of didn't believe her, but it nagged at me, so I checked our doorbell cam footage and there it was clear as day. While I was out looking for my dog, Josie is showing him a photo and asking if he knew this dog, and he said no, that we don't have dogs, and suggested calling animal control. I woke my BF up as he was asleep by this point on the couch and questioned him about this, and he denied it, saying Josie is trying to stir up trouble. I have my dog, so things go back to normal now, and he slipped in that he deserves a makeup day for his ruined birthday. When I told him about the footage, I could see him get really still and then he admitted to it. He said my dog is old, she's 8, so he was trying to spare me since she will probably die soon and he wants us to think about the future, not the past, and my dog is indicative of my past. I told him this made 0 sense to me. He saw me damn near fall apart worried about my dog, and now I can't so much as trust he didn't have anything more to do with her disappearing. He lost it at that, saying he just knew I would find a way to blame him for this, and shouted, "You love that bitch more than you love me." I told him that he's the bitch and a coward for lying and not being honest about clearly not liking my dog for the past year. Then I asked him to leave. He stared at me like, "You're really going to kick me out right now over a dog?" And I said absolutely, and he cussed me out and went to his place. I haven't read the texts he's been sending me, but it's been a lot of them. He's been gone 7 hours and I have 27 text notifications from him. He's talked to my brother, Blair, who called me to tell me I hurt Mike for caring more about an animal than him and not being able to just shut the fuck up, be an adult, and celebrate my BF's birthday. I'm confused because we've been together a bit over a year and I spoiled the shit out of him. We met because of my dog, and he seemed to really adore her this entire time. My brother, though, doesn't much like me these days, so I can't really tell if he's right and I'm the or he and Mike are just an Oz. So Ada? Update 1. After my post, my BF showed up at my door the next day with flowers and dog treats. I didn't let him in but talked through my screen door. He said he had time to think and was ashamed of his behavior and very sorry. He explained that he had abandonment issues and got scared when a friend put the idea in his head that I love my dog more than him. The friend, turns out, is my brother Blair. I told him I wasn't ready to deal with him yet and he asked why not, and I explained from my perspective everything sort of like my last post, and then added that he shows up without letting me know he was coming and he didn't let me even speak, just launched into this grand apology. When I said I don't trust him right now, he started crying, and I mean the ugly hysterical kind. He said this stemmed from his mother leaving the family. From what I know of the story, she walked out on him and his family when he was 13, and that I am his person and he loves me and just lost his mind a little. It's one mistake, I'm sorry. He kept saying it over and over, and maybe I am a broken person, but I didn't feel anything in the moment. I watched him crying and saying sorry and basically groveling, and I just wasn't having any of it. I said we need to talk, but I wasn't ready to have that talk at the moment and need space. He begged me to let him in and only left when some neighbors came by to ask if everything was okay, and he just snapped and told them to fuck off and left. Not sure what I am even doing anymore or what I will do with him or my brother. For now I am just sitting on a local restaurant patio with my doggo sipping margaritas and trying not to cry. WTF. Update 2. Hi. It's your super messy friend with her super dick ex, not super dick in the fun sense. I don't much want to get into it but kinda need to vent to, and some of you / most of you have been really helpful / insightful / kind. So Mike has been weaving the narrative that I am mentally ill. He knows I suffer from depression and PTSD, and for whatever reason he is saying I was / am a misdiagnosed schizophrenic. It was relentless. And Blair and Dad have been backing him. It got to the point that I had had enough and hired a lawyer. Cease and desists, and 1 retraining order. My father is such a psycho, long story, later, and Mike is back on my doorstep. He is now demanding that Booger is his dog too, and he has rights to her, and he is worried about her safety with such a mentally unstable parent, me, it seems. So I said, "Oh, did I mention this is all through the Dorcam? That I now have footage, again, Of him being the unstable one and his weird manipulative threat on top of me having actual footage of him saying he doesn't even have a pet would debunk him. I don't know all of what happened because feed cut out, but it looks like the man lost his fucking mind and dismantled my Ring cam. At least without my other cameras he did not know were then installed showing him doing so. Good thing I have a lawyer. Update 3. A single fucking day after my last post, I was packing up for an impromptu trip Arya was taking me on, partly to help me relax and partly to get me the hell out of that damn house so my father, brother, and ex would not know where I was. As such, I got Booger to the groomers. We planned to be away a while and she was due anyway. I thought I was being a responsible dog mom. And I'm an idiot because I was so frazzled about everything else, I completely forgot to tell them that Mike is not permitted anymore to pick her up. So I go to run errands while Booger got her spa treatments. Don't you dare judge me, she deserves a spa treatment every once in a while. Being a couch potato is stressful, grueling work, you know, and when I return I am told by the front desk that your husband picked her up. I swear to you my voice simply stopped existing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I just crumpled to the ground and sobbed. He knew the groomer, knew the staff, he would sometimes pick her up for me back when we were together and I didn't protect my baby by preempting this. How could I have been so fucking stupid? His life mission is getting rid of her. It should have been one of the first things I did. I removed him everywhere else, and I don't know I missed this. The staff had come around the desk to help me to a chair and I just wailed. I think I managed to say enough. The police were called and I could barely speak even to them. They asked if there was someone I could call. Any family, and I cried more. I have no one. If anything my father and maybe brother would help Mike do this. I managed to think and call Arya and she was on her way, but it was then I looked at my phone. He had texted me. The fucker actually texted me, starting with "Hi, baby," as if everything that happened in all this time was absolutely non-existent. He said not to worry. He is Booger as he picked her up for you. And he is cooking us dinner at his and I can pick her up after dinner. Then he ended it with "Love you." It was so unfucking believable I could only just show the cops. One of them asked if they can look through my chat history and I said yes and unlocked all the features and she did. I had forgotten all the abusive, manipulative, and awful things that moron texted me because the cop just pulled a college aside and showed him the screen a few times. I saw him look back at me a couple times and he left the building. When he returned he asked me if I had called the police about Mike before and I said yes. He went through all the times I called in and I confirmed and told him some of it verbally then. Arya arrived and she gave her own rendition of the situation and stuck it to them that we did everything we were supposed to do by calling them about this and we were told they would not help. If Booger is hurt she will raise an unholy inferno over their useless department. She started to take charge in the absence of my ability to and asked what they planned to do. They needed paperwork. Booger's papers are all in my name and the groomer is attached to the vet who provided the adoption and intake paperwork of Booger which proved I was her sole owner legally. Police went to his home to get Booger and what I understand to have happened, because I was not there and was only told the official story, Mike let them in, showed the dinner he made. He seemed confused and didn't understand why the police were involved. He made it out that we had a bad spat but we're working it out, but I am mentally unstable and heavily medicated and I told him of the groomer's appointment and asked him to pick my dog up. They asked where Booger was and he said he didn't have her anymore as my family picked her up so that he and I can have a private intimate night to make up and work on our relationship. I was home waiting and I had to deal with another cop coming by and asking me about my mental health and if I am a danger to myself or anyone because Mike said that he is concerned that I am unpredictable and abusive. Once again I showed the texts and some footage of it being the polar opposite and once again I explained that all of what I was showing him and more I've already turned over to the police. By now, I had reached my lawyer who advised I answer any and all questions pertaining to this specific situation, getting my dog back, and nothing more, so I shut up and simply provided info necessary to this. They found Booger at Blair's but now Blair had his own story. That I was mentally unstable and unable to care for her, so I asked him to take Booger to a shelter as I didn't have the heart to do it myself. He couldn't provide any proof, so they took Booger with them and brought her home. Booger came for me immediately, straining against the leash to get to me and I cried on my front step apologizing to her as if she understood what all just happened. But she was happy and excited. I bet she loved being in a cop cruiser. She just was happy to be alive per usual. The policewoman who handed me her leash gave us information on where to get the paperwork about today's events and said she cannot offer me legal advice but to be sure to lock everything up tonight and to call if anything happens. I did take Booger to the vet and the tests that have come back show she is perfectly fine. I've now packed up the majority of my house and what is not in storage has been moved to Arya's. I am working on preparing to sell it. I can't even imagine going back to that damn place. Mike left me a voicemail lamenting that I sicked the police on him when all he ever tried to do was love me. How patient he has been with my mental illness and my obsession with my mutt. But he now is seeing that my father was right. I don't deserve him. I will never find anyone like him who will love me because I don't deserve love. And when I realize what I've lost all due to my self-centered attitude, I better hope he hasn't moved on. But he's there if I ever decided to grow up and be a real woman and try to fix this with him. But he's not going to wait around forever. An emergency protective order was pushed through, thanks to my lawyer. From Mike and Blair. Blair was stupid enough to blow up my phone after the police took Booger to berate me. I don't know what he said as I just forwarded everything to my lawyer, but either apparently was enough. My father lost it, I'm told, but I wouldn't know. He doesn't know where I am and has no way to reach me now. Mike is trying to reverse my domestic abuse complaints and say I am the one abusing him and that's why he fled to his place. He maintains that I asked him to take Booger and Blair is backing him up. My lawyer says not to worry because no one is taking the claim seriously since we have so much overwhelming documentation of both of them harassing me. I've been at Aria's and we are taking the trip tomorrow. Booger is a road dog and loves car rides, so I know she will be very excited. The city we are going to is incredibly dog friendly, so she will be with us every step of the way. I'm not letting her out of my sight. Aria helped me go through every bit of info and make sure Mike is removed off everything now. All Booger's appointments, all my medical paperwork, all package sign-offs, you name it. All mail and packages are being rerouted to Aria's and Mike doesn't know where that is. She has another home she rents out as an Airbnb, so once the current tenants are out, she is setting me up to stay there until I find a new job out of town and move. I'm just glad to have her with me right now because I haven't been able to sleep. I have barely been able to even be around food, let alone eat it. Booger was gone for maybe a total of 5 hours as a whole, but I swear to God it was like a lifetime. I've set virtual appointments with my counseling team and might need to get something to help me sleep. But last night Booger lopped up into the bed with me and just plopped down and snuggled beside me. I think she knows I am stressed and the only clear cure is cuddles. She's not entirely wrong. My mind is racing because what would have happened if I didn't already have a lawyer pushing the return of my dog along, or Aria who was speaking up for me when I was a useless fucking blob pea on the floor crying and accomplishing absolutely nothing. I feel like a failure because it was the time for me to get things done and all I did was cry like a child. Booger deserves better than me. What if he had decided in those hours to just get rid of her or do worse to her? What was his whole plan? And why the fuck would Blair help him? I know he hates me, but Jesus Christ. All I know for now, if I'm NC with all three of those bastards and by the time my protective order is up for review next month, new job or no, I will have yanked every root I placed down here and get the fuck out of here. Update 4. First, the good news, I am safe. Booger is safe. Aria is still the ride or die I don't deserve, and I've secured a rental out of town. I'm still job hunting, but at this point, I'd rather be living out of my car than spend another second in the same city as Mike, Blair, and my father. I thought the protective orders would at least give me some peace. Oh, how naive of me. It started with emails. Since Mike and Blair can no longer text or call me without violating the protective order, they've resorted to sending me long, unhinged emails from burner accounts. I wasn't even reading them at first. I set up a filter to send anything suspicious straight to a folder I could forward to my lawyer. But then I noticed the subject lines getting weirder. Stuff like, I forgive you. Booger deserves better. We need to talk. Urgent, forgive me? For what exactly? Existing? The Booger deserves better one almost made me throw my laptop across the room. I refused to open it at first, but curiosity, or stupidity, got the best of me. Inside was some deranged monologue about how I was the problem, that I had weaponized my love for my dog to punish him, and that if I truly cared about Booger, I would let her live with someone stable. I could practically hear the manipulation dripping off every word. I forwarded it to my lawyer, who is currently trying to push for a more permanent restraining order. Then came the fake accounts. Mike, or someone on his behalf, started making social media profiles pretending to be me. At first, it was just weird, like fake inspirational posts about how I was realizing my mistakes and on a journey to self-improvement. But then it turned dark. I had mutual friends messaging me, asking if I was okay, because these accounts were posting things that made it seem like I was spiraling mentally. They were trying to paint me as unstable, saying things like, sometimes I wonder if Booger would be better off without me and I don't know if I can keep doing this. I had to make a public post warning everyone that these accounts were fake. Aria and I spent an entire night reporting them, and thankfully, most of them were taken down. But I was shaken. This wasn't just harassment anymore. Mike was actively trying to create a narrative where I was too unwell to care for myself, let alone my dog. Then, the absolute breaking point, he broke into my old house. I don't even live there anymore, but my security system, which I never disabled, alerted me to movement. I pulled up the camera feed, and there was Mike, standing in the empty living room like some goddamn horror movie villain. He just stood there for several minutes, looking around, like he was expecting to find me there. Then he left. I immediately called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone. Nothing was taken, because there was nothing left to take. It was just the act of being there that was terrifying. The next day, I got another email, I went home today. It felt so empty without you. I know you're scared, but we can fix this. Just talk to me. I felt like I was going to be sick. Home? It was never his home. He didn't even live there when we were together. He had his own place, but in his twisted little mind, that house was ours. And now that I was gone, he was trying to rewrite history. I don't know what his endgame is. I don't know if he actually believes we'll get back together, or if this is all just some elaborate power play. What I do know is that he's getting more desperate. And desperate people do dangerous things. Aria and I have decided to move up our trip indefinitely. I need to get out of here before something worse happens. I've turned over every piece of evidence I have to my lawyer, and we're pushing for full criminal charges. Now on to second story. Fiancé refused to let my brother be my man of honor, insisted on sidelining him, so I'm reconsidering the entire wedding. I'm 30F, and I'm currently 2 months pregnant with my first child and engaged to my fiancé of 3 years James, 31. For little background, when I was 15, my parents had my baby brother, and 5 years after, while I was 20, and Matt was 5, my parents and Matt were driving home when they got into an accident resulting in my parents' death. After the accident I was completely destroyed and devastated, but I had to pull myself together to be there for my brother, and the following month I buried my parents, and with the help of my aunt and uncle I applied for guardianship of my brother. It took about 7 months before I was approved. I had to get a stable job/income, which I did, proper housing for me and my brother, which I did by using money from my inheritance to buy a house and other little things, but in the end I got my guardianship of my brother. It was hard at first working while looking after my brother. It's easy now, but there are still its ups and downs, but I would do it all over again for my brother. I met my fiancé when I was 27, at a gathering, and we just clicked. After 3 months of dating he proposed to me. At first I said no because I still have my brother to take care of, but after thinking I said yes, and we agreed to wait until we were financially stable. In the beginning of this year we wanted to tie the knot since I was pregnant because I didn't want my baby to be born out of wedlock, and we started the preparations, and the wedding is happening in October. But from what happened last week Saturday night it looks like there isn't going to be a wedding. There were many issues where we fought and resolved. For example, the wedding date. The date my fiancé wanted for the wedding was on my brother's birthday. I had a problem with it. I wanted to throw my brother a big party because he is turning 14, so I offered the week after, in which we argued, and he even ran to his mother to try to convince but I stood my ground, stating my brother's birthday is important to me and him. There was a little more fighting, but we end up coming to a resolved. Then there were the roles I wanted my brother to play in my wedding. At first I offered my brother to be his best man, but he said he wanted his best friend. I said okay. Then I said ring boy. He would hold the rings on the little pillow and bring it up to us, but James said he wanted his nephew. I said okay and left it. Saturday morning I was watching this TikTok video where the bride asked her male best friend to her man of honor, and I thought it was sweet, so I decided to bring it to him. When he came home, I was in the kitchen while my brother was at sleepover at his friend's house that Saturday night. As he entered I said I have the perfect role for Matt. What is that? Him. I thought he could be my man of honor, and then both wedding parties, then coming out as couples, they can come out as singles. Me what? Him man of honor, or I will call it my brother of honor. It would be lovely. Me, but I thought you wanted my sister to be your maid of honor, so that can't work. Him. I never agreed to this. And what about my brother? I want him to play some role in my wedding. Me. I was thinking he could be a guest and sit in the rows. Him. I was completely shocked, like I wanted my brother to be in my wedding and not some side guest. I didn't know what to say. He wanted to put my brother on the sidelines. His whole family was playing some part of the wedding, and most of my bridesmaids were his cousins. Only 2 were close friends, but this he couldn't grant me. I stopped what I was doing and told him no, it was my wedding too, and I wanted my brother to be my man of honor. And he started that his sister was better, and my brother would be guest, and he didn't want children in the wedding parties. I completely lost and started arguing with him from one thing to the next. Since Saturday, he hasn't come home, only sending his brother to pick up some of his stuff, and his mother and sister have been blowing up my phone. But I'm a selfish woman, and so what if my brother is a guest? So the last time they called was Wednesday night, and I went batshit crazy on both of them, using language I'm not proud of, but I end the call with, yes, my brother is more important than him in this wedding if it's happening, and I will never put him in front of Matt, so I'm kin sorry, and to let James contact me to talk things out. Update 1. Hello everyone, I'm very sorry I didn't get to update it due to me being busy with work and canceling every wedding preparation I made and preparing Matt for sports camp. I would like everyone to know that I will not be marrying James, and we broke up. Well, on Friday, the week after posting my original post, I got a message from James asking to meet and talk, which I only agreed to if I could pick the day that we can meet, in which he agreed to. After picking a day, which was Sunday, where I knew that Matt wouldn't be home all day, and I notified James, and he came around the midday period with his mother. I was shocked when I opened the door letting them in, as they sat in my living room not saying a word for a few seconds, which made the moment more awkward. Then James stated that he was sorry for leaving and staying away because he needed to think. Then his mother started condemning me, saying that I wasn't acting like a future wife and I should put my future husband's thoughts into consideration, and a lot of other comments. My name, I'm disappointed in you, you're getting married, and you need to stop acting like this to your future husband, she said to me. I scoffed hearing that, then turned to James asking what was his problem with my brother, and it has more to do with me showing attention to my brother than him. He sat there not saying a word for a while and stated he wanted a life with me and the unborn child, but not with Matt. I felt utter disgust for him at that moment, as he continued to say that after the wedding and having the baby he thought he would convince me that raising a baby and a teenager would be hard on both of us, and it would be best for me to send Matt to live with my uncle and aunt, but he would allow me to still support Matt financially. I was completely shocked, and before he uttered anything else I told him sorry, but no, isn't happening, and my brother isn't going anywhere. I stood up and took off the ring, handing it back to him, and told him it was over, after saying that both him and his mother got up arguing that I didn't have to do that, and I will regret this, and he started to cry asking me to think about what I'm saying. I just walked over to the door, opened it and gestured for them to leave. A few minutes passed, then they headed through the door with James crying and pleading while his mother was calling me some nasty names. And later on into the evening his sister and mother rang down my phone cussing me out, but I only told them to let James come for his remaining stuff. There are a few things I would like to respond to. 1. I saw many ask why didn't I chose Matt to walk me down the aisle. I gave my uncle, my father's older brother, the role because after the whole funeral he was there helping me to acquire guardianship and just being there over the years for both me and Matt. 2. Furthermore, I made a mistake in my original post. Matt is turning 15 this year. I didn't see the typo. I'm truly sorry for that. 3. Many of you advised me to abort, so I wouldn't have any ties to James, but I'm sorry, I had to think, and I wouldn't do any abortion and I would carry the baby to full term. 4. As many of you stated I should sit down and talk to my brother and if James even mistreated him when I'm not around, in which I did, but he said no, that James mostly ignored him, and he does the same, plus I also told him the wedding is off. Update 2. Hello everyone, first and foremost, Happy New Year. It has been a while since my last update, but I'm back to provide some updates. I want everyone to know that I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy who I named after my father, and things have been going well between me and the baby, and Matt excited having the baby around. My uncle and aunt were present during my labor and delivery, and the day after my son was born, James and his parents visited the hospital, but I only allowed James to see our son, and according to my aunt, James's mother attempted to make a scene but was quickly silenced by my uncle, who threatened her with police action. My aunt and uncle moved in after my discharge and will stay with me until June. That isn't the only update I want to provide. Last Friday, James came over to see the baby after he asked to talk, and he asked if there was ever a chance for us to get back together, to which I immediately said no, telling him that the day I returned the ring was the last time we had a romantic relationship, and that all I'm looking for and hoping for from him is a co-parenting relationship. It took 10 minutes before he reacted, but he agreed and departed, so I'm currently looking for and scheduling meetings with lawyers to attempt to set a suitable co-parenting schedule for us, which I hope he agrees to, but aside from that, I'm looking forward to raising and providing for my baby and Matt so they may have the greatest life possible. I'd keep everyone posted on any adjustments, and once again, thank you for all of your comments and support.